So, guys, today's question is going to be a little different. It's going to be, it may or may not be lighter. I guess it depends on where you guys want to take this. But somebody requested that I do something. Daphne, I don't know if you're here on the stream, but Daphne requested that I do something. Let me pull up the Reddit real quick. That I do something for World Poetry, or excuse me, National Poetry Month. So World Poetry Day is March 21st. So we're late to the party there. But National Poetry Month, as far as the poetry month here in the United States, is actually April. So that's National Poetry Month here in April. So we're talking poetry. I wanted to do something. So what I want to do here, what are your guys' favorite poets? Throw some stuff at me. I'll start. First of all, I want to give a plug to somebody that I believe watches this show pretty regularly. I want to read a poem that was sent to me recently. This poem was sent to me. Oh, Nunyo Business points out April is also Jazz Appreciation Month. Well, we're going to have to do that later this month. Maybe next Friday we'll do a jazz day because I like jazz. I'm not as knowledgeable on it as I wish I could be, or I'm sure I could be. I just have to, put in the work. But but anyway, so it's National Poetry Month. We're already getting some good names. David Hildebrandt, which, by the way, David, I wore your shirt to the gym the other day. David Hildebrandt points out Killer Mike. I like that pick. Nunyo Business points out Bukowski. I'm a huge Bukowski fan. When I was 20 and discovered Bukowski for the first time, it was like, whoa, mind's blown. David Gregory points out Ginsberg. All right, so because some beat and beat era poets are being pointed out, I'll have to tell my Lawrence Ferlinghetti story. It's not much of a story, but I'll tell it anyway. But first, let me give a plug here. So this is from Carla. And to plug her site, it's thinkveganworld.tumblr.com. And this is from Carla. She sent me this poem at the end of March, and I hope she doesn't mind that I'm reading this and plugging it. But she wrote this poem, and I think it's great. This poem is called "I've Never Been a Russian Bot." All right, here we go. I've never been a Russia bot. I hope to never be one. The Russia scare's a psyop, though, if ever I did see one. McCarthyism's back in style, although it once was busted. The corporate press that lied about Iraq is newly trusted. War profiteers need enemies. A new Red Scare will serve them. The poor will get our endless wars, though they do not deserve them. Fucked up Carla's poem. Our enemies aren't Russian bots or trolls or commie meddlers. Instead, there are war makers and war propaganda peddlers. Boom. What do you guys think of that poem? That poem was by Carla. Please go to her website at thinkveganworld.tumblr.com. Carla, I hope you don't mind. I don't know if you're on the stream today. If you are, please say hello. If you're not, I hope you don't mind that we did this, because you sent me this poem. I think it's really great, and I wanted to share it here for Poetry Month. You like it, Ashley? Edwin likes it. Lady likes it. Leroy likes it. Seems like everybody likes it. CJ put something about... Oh, okay. I will refresh that. Words are nice, but could have gone better in prose. I could have done a better job reading it. I screwed it up at one point, which I do apologize for, you guys. Jordan, you like it? I like it too. Let's see here. Let me refresh the Reddit. Oh, yeah. Okay. So John Boehner's thing has a little bit of Monsanto going on. We're going to go there. But first, let me get some more names from you guys. Who are some of your favorite poets? Somebody shared something from Caitlin Johnstone. So let me try to Let me try to track that down on the timeline here. Dr. Seuss. Somebody points out Dr. Seuss. Edgar Allan Poe. And Montrisha shares this thing by Caitlin Johnstone. I like Caitlin. I think she's a brilliant writer. I'll give this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. So let's see. If this isn't too long, I'll read it. If it's really long, then I won't. This is Blue Lilacs by Caitlin Johnstone. You arrive at long last after uncountable eons to the Valley of Blue Lilacs. A dragon made of pink roses and old books rises up from the foliage to meet you and asks if you have any weapons. You show it the space in your mind where your armory used to be, now occupied by the hissing static of an old television. You show it how your soft, tender belly takes in the sunlight and the smells and the songbirds. You are gentle, says the dragon. You agree. It licks your nose and transforms into a tiny pink worm and curls up in your pocket around your chapstick. The belly belches yellow birds into the sky and they sing your original name. It is a good name. You'd forgotten it. You sit full lotus on the large mushroom and let your leaf wings unfurl. We are all so small, whispers the worm. You agree. The song of the birds carries to the cheap seats of the universe. That's a really cool poem. Damn, that's a really good poem. She is a good writer. Montrisha, thank you so much for sharing that Caitlin Johnstone poem. That's a great, great poem by her. Very well done. Let's see. Balthazar says, sometimes poetry has repetition, so could Peter Dow be considered a poet of failure? We'll save him when we do jazz appreciation, Balthazar, because he made some borderline elevator music that's sort of jazz, right? Marcia points out E.E. Cummings, D.H. Lawrence, Shakespeare, Dorothy Parker, Sylvia Plath, and more. Ron, for music which can be poetic, check out Revolutionary Beat and U.S. History by the 2004 one-album wonder band Flipside. I'm going to take a screenshot of that, Ashley, and we're going to talk about that on 5 Chords and the Truth. Thank you for sharing. Boom. All right. I'm screenshotting that, and that is going to come up on an episode of 5 Chords and the Truth. Zach De La Roca. Someone gives a shout-out to Rage Against the Machines. Zach De La Roca. That's a cool choice. I like that. And you guys are saying we should have Caitlin on the show. Holy shit, do I agree. I don't know if Pasta's awake. Pasta likes to sleep, so I don't know if he's awake yet. But if Pasta's awake, you know, hopefully he hears this message, and he'll have to get Caitlin Johnson on the show. So I told you guys, because some people are pointing out Ginsberg, Bukowski, and those era poets. I don't know if anyone said Kerouac, but yeah. So anyway, the first time I went to San Francisco, I really like a lot of beat era stuff too. I still like it a lot. And I really wanted to go to the Beat Museum. It was my first time going in San Francisco. So, of course, I was like, oh, Pasta's here, by the way. He just texted me. Pasta's here. Caitlin Johnstone, Pasta. Caitlin Johnstone. So I wanted to go to the Beat Museum, which, by the way, if you're in San Francisco and you like beat poetry and you like that era of literature, definitely go to the Beat Museum. It's brilliant. So I'll share 2 quick stories. I'll tell that story, and then I'll talk about the time I went to V. Vale's house. Or well, actually, it's an apartment. But anyway, I'll move on. First things first. So my first time in San Francisco, this was 2006. I had shoulder-length hair. I had 5 piercings in my face. And I was just this broke college kid seeing the West Coast for the first time. I'd never been out west. I'd just come from Seattle, Washington. I really dug my time up in Seattle so much that I thought, you know what, maybe I'm going to move here at some point. And I ended up moving there later in the year. I lived in Seattle for 3 years. I know some of you guys know that. So I'm in San Francisco. I'm in North Beach, and I'm going to the Beat Museum. And it was so typical North Beach. Now, keep in mind, San Francisco was already going kind of corporate at this point. It was not as corporate as it is now, though. It's really become siliconed out in the past couple years. So this was before all that. This was 2006. Who would have thought we'd be yearning for the good old days in 2006? But anyway, so I'm there. I'm in San Francisco, and I'm going to the Beat Museum, and it was kind of poetic brilliance in a way, because as I was walking across the street to go to the Beat Museum, a museum that celebrates the work of Kerouac and Bukowski, even though Bukowski technically was not a beat. According to people that are still alive from that era, Bukowski was not technically a beat. He was just writing around the same time, and he didn't like those guys. Bukowski did not like those guys. So I'm going, and of course, as I'm walking across the street to the Beat Museum, I get approached by by a prostitute. And she approaches me, and then I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not looking for that. I'm just, trying to do my thing. I got some places to go. And it was just, and I kind of thought, I was just like, man, I'm going to the Beat Museum thinking about Bukowski, and man, I get approached by a woman of the night. I guess that's poetically appropriate, right? And so I go to the museum. It's great. I go to City Lights bookstore, which I ended up spending 3.5 hours in. And who do I see walking down the street but Lawrence Ferlinghetti himself? It was Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Ron, did you say anything? Hell no, I didn't say anything. I was way too shy to say anything. I just waved to him as if to say, I know who the hell you are, and I'm really excited to see you. Will you please wave back? And he did wave back, but that's all that happened. He just waved back to me. Now, fast forward a handful of years later. This is when I still ran the morning show out of Nashville, Tennessee. But I had already moved here to Los Angeles, but I still had the show. It was called Indie Bohemians. We had a nice run, but it was time to retire the show. Now I'm doing this. And so I go, and I got Vale to do my show. Now, I know some of you may or may not know who Vale is. Vale is one of technically, he is the only Beat member still alive, to my knowledge. He was an employee at City Lights bookstore when he was young, and he was given $100 by Allen Ginsberg, and then Lawrence Ferlinghetti also gave him $100, and they said, start a publisher. So he did, and he started research publications. And what was the first thing they published? They published the punk zine Search and Destroy. Vale was a big punk rocker, still is. So this guy basically was the bridge between beat poetry and the beat generation and the punks. This guy was the bridge between them. I know some of you might not care about this, but I know some of you do, and I'm a big geek about this stuff, so sorry. But so Vale he did Search and Destroy. He did a couple books with Billy Childish. He did a couple books with Henry Rollins. He did a couple books with who else? Jello Biafra. And I know some of you guys have requested Jello on the show. That's one we're gonna have to work on. I don't know how easy that'll be to get, but I am working on it. So that's who Vale is. He agreed to do my show because I was in San Francisco, and he's like, look, just come to my apartment. Just come over. So I show up at his apartment, and he is in the heart of North Beach. He had to have been grandfathered into this apartment. He was like right across the street from City Lights. I'm sure that apartment goes for like, I can't even imagine what it would go for if it was out today. I mean, I'm sure probably at least $3,000, $4,000, I would think. But he's been there since however long. He's been there since the 60s, I'm pretty sure, or 70s. So I go to his apartment. His apartment is covered in books, and his books. And they're covered in the Pranks books, which if you haven't, go to researchpubs.com. I'm pretty sure that's the website. Here, you know what? Let me get the exact website for you guys. Because I want to make sure that I plug the I want to make sure I plug it properly. Yeah, researchpubs.com. That's the website. It's researchpubs.com. So it's a great resource. And anyway, so it's covered in books. Vale's place, covered in books. And Vale, he sees me walk in. This is an OG guy. And the first thing he says to me is he goes, "Hey man, would you mind signing my guest book? Everybody that's ever been in here has signed my guest book. Just open it up. Just open it up to the nearest page and sign your information." So I open it up and I see every name you guys could think of. I see Jack Kerouac. I see Henry Rollins. I see Billy Childish. I see Jello. I see, oh man, who else did I? Ken Kesey. Ken freaking Kesey. And this was them. Like this dude was part of all that. So this was them. Neil Cassidy. Neil Cassidy. So, and these are all them. These are all them. So you see this hall of fame of cultural bohemians. And then you see Ron Placone. You see my goofy name. At the time, I wasn't even living out west. I was still living in Nashville, and I was just touring. So I wrote my Nashville address, a condo that I used to own, don't own anymore. And I'm in that freaking guest book. And I see his guest book is its own beat museum. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I see this guest book, and I do the interview with him, and we have a really, really fun interview. And then he starts showing me around. At the time, I was seeing this girl who I'm no longer seeing. But I did not write Howdy Howdy. This was before all that. This was before the Jimmy Dore show. This was before, well, not before the Jimmy Dore show. The Jimmy Dore show was going on, but I was not part of it. This was before I was part of the Jimmy Dore show. This would have been like 2015. Henry Rollins would come. I hope so. I've tried reaching out to Henry Rollins in the past for other things, and I've never heard back from him, but I will try again. And I will try to get Henry on this show. Absolutely. So anyway, to close out this story, I'm there and he starts showing me other stuff because I say, hey, I'm starting to see this girl. We've only been dating a little bit, but she has a birthday coming up. What's something that'll impress her? And would you be willing to sign it? He starts showing me this stuff. He has all these limited edition things that he published. He has literally the first edition of Search and Destroy in his house, but he doesn't know how to use eBay or anything like that. So he's like, yeah, I sell this for $300 and I just kind of offer it to my friends. And I'm like, these are people that know you. This isn't, if you put this on eBay or something like that, you could probably get a couple grand for this. That was what I was thinking. But I was like, dude, and I told him that. I'm like, if you put some of this stuff, he has a literature museum in his house, but he doesn't want to do anything with it. He just offers it to his friends, and he asks for like $300, which I'm sure he could get at least twice that. At least, I'm thinking at least a grand for some of the stuff this guy just has sitting around his house. I mean, I almost offered. I almost was like, dude, I'll come spend a couple weeks here and I'll help you sell this stuff and just give me like a reasonable cut of it so that I'm getting compensated for my time or whatever. Because he could, I mean, he's sitting on a gold mine. I mean, I guess he's doing okay. He doesn't need the money. But anyway, and he was telling me, so this is $300. This is $300. This is like literally the only edition of this left. I'm asking $600 for this. And I said, I have $17 in my pocket. That's what I have in my pocket, V. I got $17. What's something you can give me for $17? He hands me an edition of Pranks. And he goes, here's an edition of Pranks. This is one of my favorite books that I did. If she doesn't like this book, she's not worth dating. That's what he said to me. And then he signed it. Things with me and that girl did not work out at all. But she did appreciate that edition of Pranks. I think so. Seek and Destroy is in my wheelhouse. Learned to play that about 3 weeks after it came out. That's awesome. Leroy requests John F. O'Donnell. I like John. I like John a lot. We're buddies. And yeah, I should reach out to him to do this show. All right. So thank you for the poems, everybody. Thank you for sending this in, Carla. And again, guys, check out Carla's work at thinkveganworld.tumblr.com. Check out Caitlin Johnstone's work at caitlinjohnstone.com. They're all very brilliant.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.